Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is time for us to have conversation around disrupting the normalcy of domestic violence. This morning I want to talk about status quo. That came to me this weekend. I've been working on, as I told you before, our Black Friday training class I'm putting together so we can have a special time and um, So I'm talking about status quo and how we can ditch the status quo. So come on in and let's have a conversation this morning. I'm Andrea Merriman, your creative harmony coach and master domestic violence help coach, bringing you Andrea's morning tea chat. This morning we want to have our conversation around status quo and what that means to ditch the status quo. You're going to hear me talking about that word a little bit more as we continue to get closer to our Black Friday sale. So I just want you to be prepared and go ahead and start looking for it. So I'll be putting that out pretty soon. So when you think about status quo, what do you think about? As we start looking at it, and if we go back and start looking at Google's definition says existing state of affairs, especially regarding social or political issues. But I'm referring to status quo as what people normally say this is standard. Once you've been through this, this is what happens, and it applies to maintaining or changing that existing structure. So we want to look into what is usually what people expect from us and how we can change that into what we expect from ourselves. So we're going to start looking at that. And as I start thinking of it, when you say status quo and we're sharing ideas around it, you can't accept but to go in and think about growth. What is that when it has to do with growth? And that's what I'm putting together for this 4-week workshop. This workshop is going to bring all of us together just looking at that and growth, because as we start going into the next year and preparing for the next year, we're looking at growth. We started 2020 with all these ideas, what we were going to do. You saw so many things in January, February about 2020 being vision, getting the right vision, and including, niching down what you were doing, getting clarity. And then COVID happened. Well, COVID was already going on, but it was brought to the limelight, brought to the beginning of what we're doing. So as COVID started, everybody started changing. First, there was a panic. Remember, we did things like bought all the toilet paper and paper towels because all the paper products had to go to making masks, and there was a panic that happened. People were buying food and so many things going on. And then it died down, and what happened was the status quo changed. Now people have stopped staying in as much. Okay. We stopped all of our events. We stopped school. We stopped going to work. People still haven't been to work. And the government did strange things with money, sending out money to people. This was an election year. Those things changed. And there was just so much change that it brought about confusion and chaos and so many things going on. And when there's confusion and chaos, there's usually an enemy behind it trying to make it stay that way so that you can't function. But if you're like me and you believe in a higher power, if you believe in the heavens and the earth and the Father in the heavens watching what's going on, and He tells us a lot of times that we can put things in perspective, and what was meant for bad can be used for good. And the more we start embracing that, the more we started looking at this is a bad thing. How can I turn it around and change the status quo of what is expected in this catastrophic time to bring about something good? So then we started looking at how can we still be productive? How can we bring income and money in to our families? How can we get something that's sustainable? What can we do? This gives me time to regroup because so many parallelpreneurs were out there working a 9 to 5 outside of the home, trying to come home, clean the home, take care of the kids, keep the wife or the husband happy. All these things were going on that we had at that time thought this is what normal looks like. Now it's changed. And we're given that time at home. And, we've been striving to work from home, work from home, work from home. Now we're working, and it just happens to be in the home. Now we're teaching our kids, and it's not homeschool, it's just that they're being taught in the home. And everything that we looked at has changed. So when we continue to do this and we start grasping in the growth of what we need to do to get to our next, fear still jumps up. Fear still talks about in our head about all the things that could go wrong, will go wrong. We shouldn't be looking because this is going to happen. Close your eyes as you walk through this. But then we're reminded that we need to keep our eyes wide open because we're told by the Bible to watch and pray. We've dealt with all these political things going on, people on both sides. I hear people for one, for the other, for neither, but not sure what to do, picking the lesser of two evils. All this has had the country in an uproar and divided. But yet we as women have tried to boldly stay into our lane, work through the passion and the pain points that we have with those that we serve so that we can still continue to dish out what we need to do to those we serve. So today I just want you to look at where you've been. Now, if you've not been journaling, if you have not been keeping a record of your feelings and your thoughts, this is something that's detrimental to your growth so you can see these things. That's why when we come back and do this step out of your comfort zone program I'm working on, I'm going to give you a journal. We're going to talk about finances. We're going to talk about all those things. But what I want you to do is start thinking about what all you've been through. Look at how your money has flown. Look at how your life has gone. Look at what relationship you've either enhanced or made bad with your family and your kids. See, the one thing about the isolation and to being home with your family, it's either going to bring you closer together or it's going to remind you that you don't need to be together. So look at what that means to you and how you're going to walk into this next year. This next year is not going to be much different than this. As far as our COVID and not working and home enhancements, matter of fact, I see that colleges are letting out for a whole month. Schools are talking about in some places not going back. So this is going to stay the same. But what can you do as an advocate, as a minister, as a servant leader, someone who people are looking to you to bring up the status quo, to bring up what's expected, to lead and to be that rock, to be that person? So what do you need to do different for yourself to make sure that you're in that space? See, I'm here to help you. You tell me what you need as we work through this so that you'll have the support you need to be the leader you know that you need to be. So as we go through this, as we lead into these next few weeks, leading into a new year, a new fiscal year, tell me how this year has been to you. What do you need to change? What do you need to regroup in? What are the things that you need to do to build up your status quo of what support needs to look like in your family and with your friends, with your business, with your circle, with your sister circle. How does that look? What does that need to represent? How are you representing your brand and your business? All of these are questions that we need to be asking ourselves. All of these are questions that we're going to be covering over the next few weeks, because these are things that are going to make the difference in how you show up, how you serve in the space that you're in. So take the time out, start looking at what you've been through. If you, like I said, if you're one that's journal, hey, you're got this. Go back and read it and really look at that, what you're trying to accomplish. And then keep in mind, this workshop is coming up. We're going to have some specialty stuff that go with it. So go ahead and prepare for that. I will see you tomorrow morning as we continue to talk about all the things that we need to disrupt the normalcy of domestic violence, to bring in growth in your personal life and your business life, so that you can continue to help eradicate domestic violence. Thank you for joining me this morning. Until tomorrow, I continue to pray that you have hope, harmony, and happiness in your life.